For number 7, we have to find the distance between each pair of points, and then we're going to show our work. Since we have a graph and ordered pairs, we could make a right triangle and do Pythagorean's theorem, or we could use the distance formula. I'll show you both ways. First, I'm going to do Pythagorean's theorem by making a right triangle on the graph. Then, when I make the right triangle, those are going to be my legs. There's my right angle. This side, 1, 2, 3, 4. This side, or this leg, is 4. And this leg is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this leg is 6. So now I have my legs. I need to find the hypotenuse. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 4 squared plus 6 squared will give us c squared. 16 and 36 equals 52 for c squared, and our final step to get c, or the distance, is the square root of 52. And that would be an irrational number. It would give us approximately 7.2 for that distance. Now let's do the distance formula, because sometimes students prefer that strategy. We will get the same answer. Here is the distance formula. The square root, and then inside we subtract the x values, square them, and add it to the y values when we subtract those and square those. So let's look back at our ordered pairs and see if we can sub them in to our formula. Let me see here. So I went ahead and erased the right triangle. So now I can see my ordered pairs. My x values are 7 and 3. So I'm going to subtract my x values. My y values, looking at the ordered pairs, are 8 and 2. So I'm going to have to subtract my y values. So 7 take away 3 is 4 squared, and 8 minus 2 is 6 squared. That's 16 plus 36, which gives me 52, and the square root of 52 is approximately 7.2. So you can see we ended up with the same answer. So the distance of that line is approximately 7.2 units. For question 8, it says the diagram shows the location of 3 towns and a library. Each unit on the grid represents 1.5 or 1.5 kilometers. That's a key component to this problem. We're going to A, find the actual distance between the library and town A. That's the distance right here between those two. Now this is a horizontal line. It's exactly on the grid, so we can just count 4 units. Each one is 1.5. So 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5 plus 1.5, or 1.5 times 4. So using repeated addition, or 1.5 times 4, we end up with a distance of 6 kilometers. Next, we have to find the actual distance between the library and town B. This is going to give us a diagonal line. Therefore, we'll have to use Pythagorean's theorem or the distance formula. It would be your choice. I'm going to do Pythagorean's theorem and make a right triangle right here. And keeping in mind this 1.5 kilometers. So this leg is 1.5. This leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4 units up. So that is 1.5 times 4, or 6 for the leg. Now I'm going to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I would set it up with the leg of 1.5 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. 1.5 squared is 2.25 and 6 squared is 36. Now I'm going to add that together and then take the square root. That gives me 38.25, and then the square root of that. The square root of that gives me approximately 6.1846. It's an irrational number, so I'm going to round that to the nearest tenths. So that distance is approximately 6.2 kilometers. Moving on to part B, Amelia traveled from town A, from here, to the library, to town B, and then she and her friend traveled to town C and had dinner. How far did she travel? So we're looking for another hypotenuse or another angled distance. So we have to do Pythagorean theorem again. And then we're going to take all of our values and add them together. Now I do notice that this leg is 1.5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this leg is 4 blocks. Remember 1.5 for each block. So that is 6. So I believe we have already done this problem with with our last problem. So we do know that that distance is going to be another 6.2 kilometers. So that saves us some time. Now, to get the total distance that she traveled, we're going to add all 3 of these distances together to answer the question. And that gives us a total of 18.4 kilometers for the total distance that she traveled. And it would also be nice if you would answer that in a complete sentence. I'm just out of room on my screen here.